Welcome to Sideline Picks. My name is Chris, and I'm here with my co-host Gary. Thank you for joining us for episode 6. Let's jump right into Fantasy Football Week 3. All right, Gary, so Week 3 Fantasy Football Edition. I think both of us are actually 2-0 in the fantasy league, even though Gary was trying to give me some beef earlier.
We are the only ones that are 2-0.
That's pretty impressive. Even though, now he's trying to act like we're the only ones that are 2-0, and that's cool and everything. Even though 20 minutes earlier I was getting beefed by him for a quote unquote.
Yeah, you want to know how many points Chris has? 248. 223 points against. This guy is the luckiest 2-0 player in the history of fantasy football.
Say yours.
Yeah, I got 314 points and 300 points against.
Yeah, exactly, dude. People are scoring left and right on you. Anyways.
I can't control that.
You guys have seen, we've told you we're 2-0. We're really only doing the fantasy football league that we're in together. We're both in multiple fantasy leagues. I'm just going to put a plug out there. Last week, in my other fantasy league, I lost by 106 points.
But hey, boys, he's 2-0 in this one.
The guy I played had 188 180 something, and I had 76 points. It was the worst game because Mike Evans got out. Jerry Jeudy got hurt because Mike Evans likes to fight people. Jerry Jeudy got hurt. It was the worst day ever. Okay, Russell Wilson decided not to play quarterback. It was really bad. But we're both 2-0. Gary, why don't you go tell me from last week your player that scored the most? And Gary had actually a lot of players that scored pretty decent points.
So last week, people, I had, let me see, I'm pulling it up. I had 181.38 points.
It's pretty impressive.
So that is beautiful. I had, unfortunately, my highest scoring player, even with 181 points, was on my bench. And it was...
Isn't that the worst?
It was Jalen Waddle. I had Jalen Waddle on my bench. He had 40.1. But I had starting for me, I had Amon-Ra St. Brown, 39.4.
That's tough.
I had the Bucks defense at 25. Mark Andrews, 25.7. I put in Curtis Samuel, like I told you guys last week. He put up 22.9. Kyler Murray, although I don't think he played amazing. Yeah. I mean, they won the game. He put up 25 because he had a rushing touchdown.
That's pretty good.
And, dude, I got 181, and my kicker only got 1 point.
I had – and here's the funny thing. So I played – our editor, my cousin.
Tell him how many points you put up, Chris.
Hold on. Can I finish? So, I played our editor, who is my cousin, B-Man. And if you go into our league history just from the last 3 years, and he's out here catching strays, okay? So, he's going to edit this and hear this. But my toughest or my easiest opponent is B-Man, and his toughest opponent is me. I am now 6-1 against him in just the past 3 years. So, I barely beat him. It was only 115 to 110, and it came down to Monday Night Football. My player who had the most was Thursday night Mike Williams. So I benefited from that greatly. I mean, at 25 points, 25.3. He did great in the absence of Keenan Allen. But, I mean, Darren Waller, 17. You can't ask, a tight end getting over 15 is pretty decent. But Russell Wilson, 11. Dalvin Cook, 7. DeAndre Swift, pretty good, 16 points. The Browns defense against the Jets, 0.
So I'd just like to point out, hey, B-Man, as you edit this, I just want you to think about this a little bit. You confidently started Robbie Anderson and DK Metcalf over T. Higgins.
Over T.
Hold on. And if he had played T. Higgins in replacement of either of those two players, he would have beat you.
Here's why. And we don't play players that are playing against our team. So we didn't play Bengals players. I didn't play Joe Burrow, and he had 17. So kind of could have gone the same way. We're too loyal because I'm not going to root against a player that's playing Dallas. I'll cry. I already cry when every week when they play, okay? So again, we're going to keep you up to date every week about our fantasy teams, how we're doing, players that maybe put us over the edge. And actually, Gary, you scored what? What was it, 180? 181?
181.38.
And he only beat my wife by 11 points. So it's crazy. Both of them had the highest scoring of the week. So we're going to jump into our booms and busts. So honestly, Gary, I want to, if you got your notes, I want to look back a little bit to last week's.
Don't do this.
Booms
Don't
and
do
busts.
this.
Listen, only a little bit before we jump into our picks. But, okay, my booms for my running back, booms and busts for running backs was, I had Darrell Henderson as my boom. He only got 1 touchdown. And Cam Akers as my bust. I think they both had like 10 and 11 points. So it was nothing to write home about. But my wide receiver, Christian Kirk, 2 touchdowns. I predicted 2 touchdowns and 100 yards. Okay, he did get the 2 touchdowns. I'm actually looking right now how many receiving yards he had. But, I mean, for, booms and bust wise, we didn't do bad except for Gary. Gary confidently, he had 78 yards, 2 touchdowns, 78 yards, 6 targets, 6 receptions. Dude, that's pretty good if you ask me. Dalton Schultz, he got hurt. Okay, I don't want to hear it. Ryan Tannehill was absolutely awful. All right. Kadarius Toney.
Poor Ryan Tannehill, man.
Hey, so actually, I had one of my friends text me today and talked about how much we dogged Matt Ryan. So, just in case you listen to the podcast, it's nothing personally. You got to go home. Hang up the cleats, go home.
Like, just go coach a QB somewhere.
But Ryan Tannehill was pretty bad last week. Kadarius Toney. So the busts were pretty on point. The boom, I had Matt Stafford. If Matt Stafford can stop turning the ball over, he'd be fine. Okay? He scored 3 touchdowns last week, but he had 2 interceptions. I don't know what you want me to say. Gary, going back to your booms and busts, I knew you had one person in particular that he confidently, on a podcast that streams on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and Stitcher, said that he is not going to go with Lamar Jackson this week because he is not going to be able to run, which I think he had a 79-yard touchdown run, and he's not going to be able to pass. And I think he had 3 touchdowns in the air.
And he still took a fat L.
It wasn't his fault. Lamar. It was not his fault. So, Gary,
I don't care, dude.
Going back and looking at your booms and busts, besides Lamar Jackson, did you have any that did pretty decent, just like you expected? Or
so if I had flipped my quarterbacks, I would have done great because I said Matt Ryan was going to do good, and Matt Ryan literally was the lowest scoring QB in fantasy.
I'm going to see how many points.
1.8. 1.8.
1.8. Okay, so if he had swapped
if I had just flipped those, I would have looked like a hero.
Instead, you looked like a fool.
Running back, honestly, I don't remember who I said for bust. But I should have said Cordero Patterson.
Yeah, because that's your guy.
4 points.
You are all about some Cordero Patterson, and then he
4 points. Was he asleep?
4 points. No, it's because Marcus Mariota played pretty decent.
I did pretty good with the wide receiver boom. Again, I don't remember who the bust was, but it was. I deleted these notes. I'm not even gonna lie to y'all. Once these games started going, I said I don't even want to know.
So,
but Curtis Samuel did good. I called him,
and then
I called Darren Waller as well for tight end, and I called Kyle Pitts not doing good, and Kyle Pitts sucks. And so
he said sucks in general, and when a tight end gets over 15 again, I think it's pretty good. It's the same. If a defense can get, I would say 7 or more points, you're looking pretty good because they obviously start off with 10 and go down from there. So okay, well, again, we're gonna kind of keep you up to date on how. Just go back and look and see how we did. If we looked like complete fools or we, got them all right.
I'm gonna be better this week. I did a little more.
Okay.
Digging, research, finding the nuggets, so to say.
Well,
the gold nuggets.
I'm gonna start with my boom for quarterback. Okay.
All right, dude. Let's see what it is.
It's not that bad. It's Joe Burrow. And here's
against who?
The Jets. Here's why. I got a couple reasons. So, I remember what you said in the last episode. Again, if you haven't listened to that episode, go listen to it. But what you said last episode is Joe Burrow just one of those guys that had a great season and made it to the Super Bowl and now he fell off? Which I think that's really hard to answer going into week 3 because, that means that you put up a facade for 17 weeks plus playoff games to get to the Super Bowl, which he didn't play bad in the Super Bowl either. So I think Joe Burrow gets back on the right track this week against the Jets. It's an easier defense in the secondary wise to play against. I do think he did not play very good against Dallas, but I don't think the Jets defensive line is nearly.
Defense is much better though in Dallas.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think the defensive line really, because, besides week 1 and his 5 turnovers, which is unacceptable, Joe Burrow didn't play bad on Sunday against Dallas. He just didn't have a good offensive line, and he was running for his life. So I think he comes back. He has a great bounce back week. Him and Jamar Chase, I think, really link up. I mean, Joe Burrow has 17 points, but I think he goes for over 25 this week. Joe Burrow has the potential to do that, especially with someone like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Joe Mixon on the team. I got Joe Burrow going for over 25.
I don't think it's a bad pick. I mean, I think, like you said, though, with his line, that doesn't change week over week. So I'm kind of concerned to see, how much longer he's going to be able to handle being behind this garbage line. Because they brought Lael Collins or whatever, and he said,
from
nobody's
Dallas.
Touching you now. And this man gets sacked every other play.
What did he say? I'm his bodyguard?
Yeah, I'm his bodyguard. Ain't nobody touching you. And then he gets smacked every play.
Yeah.
So mine is actually going to be Derek Carr.
Okay.
So.
Because, he is 0-2. So, this.
He's going against the Titans, too. So we saw what the Bills just did to the Titans.
Yeah.
I think that he has a lot of potential. Devontae Adams didn't do very good last week. He only put up 9 fantasy points. So I think we see a big bounce back game from them. But they got to start winning games in a big way. They're never. I don't understand how they can't just go off. The team that they have. I mean, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, Devontae Adams, and then Josh Jacobs in their backfield. How are you not going off? How are you not putting up 30 points a game? I don't understand. So for them, I think if Derek Carr can get it together this game, which I think the Titans are the perfect opponent for him to do that too. We see a big game from him this week.
One thing you said too is it's the Raiders winning in a big way, okay? And they don't do that a lot. I'm actually going back and looking at their 2021 season. Okay, let's see. Week 1, they barely beat the Ravens in overtime. Okay, it was 33-27. Week 2, they had a pretty decent game. They beat the Steelers by 9. Only beat the Dolphins by 3. Chargers by 14, but then they lost to the Bears. They beat this. So a lot of these games,
they're just not one of those teams that blows people out.
They're not. And again, the Raiders by 2 points. They lost the Chiefs by 40. Let's see, 37. Beat the Broncos by 4. With this year, I just expected them to be able to blow out teams with the weapons they have. Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow.
That's what I'm saying. So
Darren Waller.
I think we see that this week, though. I think we see that from Derek Carr.
Question: do you blame it on Derek Carr?
Yes, I told you that week 1. I was like, you have all the weapons in the world, and you throw 3 picks.
3 picks. Okay. So, but you got Derek Carr this week. How many points?
25 plus.
25 plus. Okay. And Derek Carr could easily every week go off for 30 with the weapons he has. Okay. It's not one of those teams where you've got, a really good wide receiver and kind of mediocre slot position and tight end. He's got a really good wide receiver, a pretty decent slot, and one of the better tight ends in the league. So, again, I think he could easily go for 30 every week, but he's got to stop turning the ball over. Same like Matt Stafford. So, okay. Running back, I got Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard was the third. He scored the third most fantasy points by a running back this week. And
Tony Pollard, though, you think he's gonna? You don't
Here's
think
why.
the snap count's gonna screw it
So
up?
here's why. So I do believe that Zeke's going to get most of the normal, stereotypical run type plays, but Tony Pollard is showing more and more that he is a out of the backfield pass catcher. One of those running backs, and in a PPR league, that's really all that matters.
It's perfect.
So
yeah,
I
it's
think,
like J.D. McKissick when he was going off last year.
I think that with Dalton Schultz being out this week, which I don't like it at all, but I think with him being out this week, I think that Tony Pollard, again, having Cooper Rush as the quarterback, having Tony Pollard as a safety valve, I think really is going to help him this week. And I think Tony Pollard goes for 18. For Tony Pollard,
that'd be good. Yeah, he's a backup. So
again, he doesn't play more than, I would say, 45% of the snaps. So for Tony Pollard, I think 18 points is pretty good. I say he has a touchdown again. He had one last week. He's really good at those plays, those jet sweeps out the backfield, those little screens. He's gone. He's so fast too. So if you get him on the outside, he's not going to do as much as what Zeke does in the middle. Just try to bulldoze people, but he can totally get on the outside. I got Tony Pollard going for 18, especially with Dalton Schultz out this week.
Yep. So my next one is going to be kind of the same reason. So he hasn't done good the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like from a player, team perspective, perspective. But Austin Eckler against the Jaguars.
Yeah.
I think is going to be
Where has he been?
From a fantasy perspective, he hasn't really fallen off too much.
Yeah.
But he hasn't gone off like people have thought. Like last week, he had 9 catches. Over half of his points came from catches.
Which, again, a running back like that, it's always good to have. But
with Keenan Allen hurt again, I think you might see that out of him one more week. I do think he's going to fall off towards the end of the year.
Is Keenan Allen out?
He's questionable, but he's projected 0, so I'm assuming that he hasn't practiced yet this week.
I got you.
I don't know for sure, so don't do your research before you move him or whatever.
Well, I know a lot of players take that Wednesday practice off yesterday, so yeah. He could play. Again, if he doesn't, I would suggest Mike Williams and Austin Eckler are good, pickups.
Yeah, well, Austin Eckler, I think regardless of whether Keenan Allen's there or not, I think he's going to take advantage of the Jaguars here. Now, the Jaguars aren't bad, but I don't think they've played a really good team yet. So that's the problem,
they played the Colts, who should be a really good team, but you're right. It's not even like they really kept Jonathan Taylor in they really kept the reins on Jonathan
he finally
Taylor.
got going towards
He did.
the end of
He finally
game.
got going. And to Matt Ryan tried to do too much and not give the ball to him right off the bat. So, okay. So you got who'd you just say? I totally just forgot.
Austin Eckler.
Dude. I looked at my notes and I forgot. So you got Austin Eckler. I like that. I like Austin Eckler. He's a good dude with his old bald head. I think he's a good player, but I
got a football card signed by him with a piece of his jersey in it, so cool. I need him to go off so the card is worth more money.
Listen, when you're watching the game on Sunday, just hold it in your hand the whole game.
There we go. I'll just set it up on a little stand next to the TV.
Right next to the TV. But I like Austin Eckler. He can totally be that guy that's getting 20-plus points every single week. He just has not been that guy so far. All right.
Right.
Wide receiver, Drake London. I already got the Falcons to win the game against Seattle. And I've got Drake London.
There wasn't anybody better that you could have gone with?
Okay, so let's think real quick. Against New Orleans, 12 points, first game in the NFL, okay? It's his very first game in the NFL. He's a rookie. Against the Rams, who have Jalen Ramsey, he had 24 points. Okay? 8 targets, 12 receptions. 12 targets, 8 receptions, 86 yards, and a touchdown. I think he does the same thing. He's playing Seattle. Who in Seattle is going to cover him like someone on the Rams did? You know what I'm saying?
You might actually – I just gave you some slack, but you might actually have a point there.
He's not doing – he was drafted that high as a wide receiver for a reason. He's got Marcus Mariota, and I have here as my notes. He is slowly becoming Mariota's go-to guy. He's trusting him. Mariota's been in the league since
any guy who gets 12 targets, that's a good thing.
Yeah, dude, and it's a PPR league, and he caught 8 of them. Again, I don't think Jalen Ramsey was matched up on him the whole time, but Jalen,
that doesn't matter.
It doesn't
though.
matter.
I mean, no.
Jalen Ramsey's still on the field. The Rams still have a decent secondary. Hit 24 points. I do think he goes off. I think he's going to go for 20 again.
Yeah.
So against
that's a good. I think
he's playing a way worse defense. So
yeah.
I got Drake London. See, don't beef me and give me slack before you hear me out, okay?
Dude, I'm sorry, dude. All right. So mine is going to be Russell Gage. So people are like, what? But Mike Evans is suspended this week. Julio Jones still hurt.
He's old.
Chris Godwin still hurt. Russell Gage actually has been, he practiced today, so it's going to be the same thing like last week. Brashard Perryman practiced, but again, same thing like last week. Russell Gage had 8 targets last week.
That's pretty good.
So he only had 41 yards, so he was more of like Brady's slot guy.
Yeah.
But I think, he gets a touchdown. He gets in there. This is week 2 of him being Brady's go-to slot guy. We've seen what Edelman could do in some of those games.
Yeah.
So I think you see him go for, at least at the minimum without a touchdown, maybe 15 to 18 with a touchdown, 22 to 24. Yeah, because I think the target count's going to go up because they're playing the Packers. So the Packers, like I told you, I think it's going to be a higher scoring game, at least from the Bucks.
Russell Gage, too, has also been in the league since 2018. He's not a newbie.
Oh, he was good last year. He was good last year. Nobody really gave him any credit. He was good last year.
He's not a newbie anymore. And, again, we said this in our last episode. Veteran quarterbacks like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers, it takes them a while to start trusting these young guys. And Russell Gage is not really one of the young guys. I mean, he is only been in the league 4 years, but he's also proved himself in those 4 years to be a decent, when it's time for him to step up, he's going to step up. So I agree with you, especially since everybody else is going to be hurt. And, you're really only going to have him and Perryman. So, and potentially Julio Jones. Right? Is Julio Jones going to play?
Right. Yeah, well, he's still in practice, so I don't know if he's going to be.
I mean, I
think they're trying to save him, for from reducing injuries so they can have him for like the long-term part of the season.
But even if Julio,
if they're winning games right now, what's the rush to get him back on the field?
If Julio Jones if Julio Jones plays, I think that makes a better case for Russell Gage. Because people are going to cover Julio Jones, leaving Russell Gage way more open. So I think if Julio plays, it's just...
I think it's a win-win either way.
Yeah, either way. Okay. Tight end. And this is purely a matchup. Okay, it is who they're playing. I've got Tyler Higbee with the Rams. The Cardinals let up almost 18 points to Darren Waller. Okay? And you got the Rams playing the Cardinals this week.
They got smoked by Travis Kelce too.
They did. They're not very good at covering tight ends. That's just what it is. So I think Matt Stafford, well, whatever you want to say about him, he's a veteran quarterback who studies film, who knows the NFL. I think he's going to take advantage of this and show with Sean McVay. I think Tyler Higbee's going to be put into a special role this week, knowing full well that they're not very good at covering the tight end. So Travis Kelce went off. Travis Kelce went off at the end of the game, but I think that was more on Patrick Mahomes than it was.
I think he got a touchdown in the beginning of the game.
Just kidding. Travis Kelce went off later in the game the second week against the Chargers. So You're right, yeah. And so I think Tyler Higbee comes out. I think since it's PPR and I think since it's a tight end, I think I'll probably give him 15 to 17, just like Darren Waller last week.
I think if he gets a touchdown, you get that. I don't know if the target count's just never been high for him.
No, not for him, but I do think with Darren Waller getting a touchdown last week, I think if he gets a touchdown, it's 15 to 17. And again, for someone like Tyler Higbee, I think that's a boom.
You think Rams take advantage of the
absolutely
film on that?
Yeah, it's not. It's so like if it's known that this team struggles with someone as small as a tight end, you know what I'm saying? Not a small position, but with not a wide receiver, running back, but with a tight end, I definitely think the other team is going to take advantage of that. So I've got Tyler Higbee. Again, 15 to 17 points with a touchdown.
So I can see that. That's a good pick. Mine is going to be Gerald Everett with the Chargers. I'm going two Chargers this week.
I do like that a lot.
So actually. Gerald Everett has been slept on, man. Yeah. Like nobody's when he was at the Rams, talking about him.
He was good. So
it was Seattle.
Huh?
He was with Seattle.
He was with the Rams too. I'm pretty sure Gerald Everett was with the Rams way back when. Hold on. I'm almost positive. Finish. I'm going to look this up real quick. Yeah, dude, he was drafted by the Rams. He was drafted by the Rams in 2017. Dude, I knew it. I actually think I had him.
There you go, dude.
I had him that year in fantasy football. I like Gerald Everett a lot, and he is slept on.
Yeah, so he's boomed in the past 2 weeks against projections. So Yahoo Sports has projected him like 10 plus each week, and he's smoked it. So I think against the Jags, he does the same thing. He's becoming especially with Keenan Allen out. You have those dump
over and over again.
Targets. Yep, over and over. And then
if Justin Herbert is hurt, is he going to be able to throw that far? Or is he going to trust his safety valve and Gerald Everett, just dump it off?
And Austin Eckler. That's why I got them both.
I like that, dude. That's smart, man. You're smart every once in a while with these picks. Just don't disrespect Lamar.
There we go, dude. I told you I'm digging for nuggets this week, people. I'm not trying to get fleeced about Lamar Jackson.
Ever again. Okay, so those are our booms. I'm going to go over mine one more time. Quarterback, Joe Burrow. Running back, Tony Pollard. Wide receiver, Drake London. And tight end, Tyler Higbee. So, and then Gary, I think yours was tight end, Gerald Everett. Your your running back was Austin Eckler. Well, who's your quarterback?
Wide receiver was Russell Gage. And Derek Carr was the quarterback.
Dude, I think I think we go 8 for 8 this week.
8 for 8.
I mean,
no. There's always going to be that one pick where you're just texting like, are they asleep?
Are they playing? Did they get hurt?
Yeah.
So, all right, we're gonna.
So let's go with the guys who are going to be asleep this week with the bust.
With the bust, quarterback, Russell Wilson. Here's why. Here's the why for it. Russell Wilson has played bad defenses 2 weeks in a row and has failed to put up good points. Okay? He's playing the number 1 defense in the NFL as ranked by ESPN. I mean, he's not playing he's not playing Houston and he's not playing Seattle. He's playing the 49ers who have Nick Bosa, who get after him. I think Russell Wilson, unless, again, we talked about this in the last episode a lot. We've talked about Russ a lot this week, actually. But when you have a $265 million quarterback, I think it's warranted. But I think he has a bad game. I think he does not play very good. I picked the 49ers to win. I think the 49ers defense just, he can't keep up with them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I'm saying he's under 10 points. He only got 11 last week. I say Russell Wilson's under 10.
Under 10?
Under 10.
I think under 10 is a steep goal here.
It's
but
a bust, dude.
I do think that they're going to... He just throws the ball too much. That's why I don't know
he does.
If I agree with you on this one. We might be going 15 for 16 with that one.
Okay. All right.
Dude.
What's your quarterback?
So I actually had to really determine between two. Like I went back and forth. But I picked, and people are going to be disappointed because he's been kind of like the shining star of fantasy these first couple weeks, and I picked Carson Wentz against the Eagles.
I got you. Nope.
So
Carson Wentz is just like Kirk Cousins, okay? So I agree with you.
Well, he's hasn't really played like super difficult defenses.
Not at all.
He's played good. Like I don't want this to like discredit how good he's been doing this year. Even from a fantasy perspective, but I think the Eagles' defense is really something to worry about.
I think the Eagles in general,
and especially with what they did with Kirk Cousins. I mean, they put Kirk Cousins from throwing 180 yards to 8 fantasy points or whatever he put up. Like he put up nothing. So Carson Wentz against the Eagles. I'm not going to give you guys a number because I don't. I mean, if he runs in for a touchdown, then that's 6 points. But
yeah, that's 6 points.
I don't think it's a good week. I would not start him.
The only reason, and I don't think this is the Eagles, like this is what's happening, unless the Eagles is just hey, listen, dude, they're on a 2-week high. They won 2 games in a row. They go and play a division opponent and they lose. I don't think that's what it is. That would be the only way that I say that he's not a bust. Okay, it is if the Eagles are a bust, and I don't think that's true. As much as I hate to say it as a Cowboys fan, I think they're the real deal. So, I got you. I agree with you. This one's good, too. It's my running back. Chase Edmonds against the Bills. If the Bills can put Derrick Henry in check, they're putting Chase Edmonds in check. Easy.
Yeah.
Said and done. That's the easiest pick I think we've had.
No questions
No
asked.
questions.
See you later. Have a good day.
We're moving to the next person. But for real, Derrick Henry did not have a very good game against the Bills last week at all.
No, the Bills figured out their run defense.
It's
man.
true,
When
but yeah.
what happened to them last year compared to this year, like they've figured out the run defense.
Derrick Henry this year, first of all, in fantasy, he's the 36th ranked running back in his position. 8.2 against the Giants and 8.5 against Buffalo.
That's depressing. We need one of those 200-yard games.
We do, and I hope it's not against Buffalo because not against Buffalo, sorry. I hope it's not this week, but I think Chase Edmonds does not have a very good week. Again, the Bills can put Derrick Henry in check. I think they easily got Chase Edmonds in check.
So I agree with you. I think it's a good pick. I'm going to give one that could come back and bite me on this.
You always got to give one of those. Why?
Dude, it's a first-round pick, dude.
All right, who you got?
Like, Christian McCaffrey against the Saints.
Man. Okay.
Dude, the Saints' run defense is good. You saw it last week against Leonard Fournette. Their run defense is super good. And I don't trust Baker enough to get them far enough ahead in the game where they can afford to do the little dish out passes and run the ball
or even
and all
just
that
run
kind of stuff.
So what?
Yeah.
I'm going to need a points one on this one because Christian McCaffrey, as much as we talk about he hasn't had good games.
I say he does less than 13 points.
Okay, because he's got 15 and 16.
If I had Christian McCaffrey and he did maybe 12, let's say 12 because that's a little more.
Yeah.
If he does less than 12, I would consider that disappointing for a first round.
Honestly,
pick. I really think there's better. Like if I had him in any of my leagues, I purposely did not draft him because he's not reliable to me.
Yeah, there's too many unknowns.
I would trade him. I would literally trade him because there's too many other good running backs.
Okay, I got you, dude. I love Christian McCaffrey, but I get what you're saying. He's just not the same Christian McCaffrey.
I told you, and I'm going to tell you again, he's the Le'Veon Bell of fantasy.
Yeah. That's sad to hear. Because, again, I think he could be – he's a hard runner. He's a hard player. He gets injured too much. And I think it's catching up with him. So, all right, you're totally going to agree with my wide receiver, I promise you. Adam Thielen. Easy.
Think so?
Yeah, dude, this is so far. Against Green Bay, the week they won. Okay, 4 targets, 3 receptions, 36 yards. The second week, where they lost, 7 targets, 4 receptions, 52 yards. It just seems like Kirk Cousins does not trust his guy. And Adam Thielen used to be his guy. And with Justin Jefferson, and I think here's where I'm not understanding why Adam Thielen isn't playing better. You know how this works, and people who know football understand how this works. When you have a number 1 receiver, that guy is going to get a lot of attention. Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, Mike Evans. These people are going to get a lot of attention. Why isn't the next guy up? The next guy up should be able to score more than 6 points on a week that they win. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think he goes for under 10.
I think he's getting phased out of the offense, honestly.
And I did not want to use this word. They used the word washed because I was actually reading something today about Adam Thielen, and they were like, I think he's just washed. And it was just like a period right after that. And I was like, wow, that's – there was no conversation.
Poor guy?
Yeah,
like what?
There was no conversation about it. So Adam Thielen has got to take advantage that the number 1 receiver is Jamar Chase – or not Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson. He's got to take advantage.
Yeah.
So I think Adam Thielen goes for under 10 again, which for Adam Thielen – I think that's a bust. Again, he is bust.
Disappointing.
Yeah,
yep.
he's been a bust. Actually, according to the player insights with Watson, he has not been a bust either week. But in my eyes, he has been a bust both weeks. So
people who've been playing fantasy for a while rely on him a lot more than
he's rostered in 90.7% of the leagues. If you're rostered in that many and you're putting up 6 and 9 points, drop him. So I think Adam Thielen's the bust. What's your bust for wide receiver?
Mine is somebody, again, who's a little more like you might be starting him. And it's Terry McLaurin against the Eagles.
Oh, and why?
So
I mean, I think I know why you're going to say this, but
well, I picked Carson Wentz obviously
Yeah.
against the Eagles. I think the Eagles secondary is locked down. I don't think they're a great defense to pass against. I have
Darius
picked
Slay,
Terry
Sauce
McLaurin in the
Gardner.
past to be a bust. I picked him last year to be a bust, and he went off. So hopefully he doesn't come back to
he
bite me
doesn't
again.
do that.
But I don't think Darius Slay is on fire. Like that's not just going to magically change one weekend. And if anything, Curtis Samuel gets the targets because Terry McLaurin draws the coverage.
Well, here's
so
two.
I think that we see a steep decline in his fantasy production week over week.
If you're looking at his stats, okay, I mean, he was 4 for 8, so he dropped. I don't know exactly all 8 passes, but there were 4 passes that he did not catch against Detroit. That's a lot of. I mean, that's 50% of your passes that you did not catch against Detroit.
Well, he seems to be turning into the deep ball guy, and those
Yeah.
are never reliable in fantasy.
No, not at all. I mean, he went 4 for 8, 75 yards, no touchdown, 12 points. So, dude, I can totally agree with that. I think Darius Slay,
I think he goes under 10.
I think Darius Slay clamps him down, and if not, Sauce Gardner does as well.
Yeah.
I like how we're like bringing multiple people into the mix. Like you with the Chargers, you had Austin Eckler, and who else do you have from the Chargers?
Gerald
Everett. All right, my 2 bust, Russell Wilson, and I'm not even gonna try to pronounce the name of the tight end from the Broncos.
Odujabi.
Okay, but it's him. The tight end from the Broncos is gonna be a bust as well. All right,
Dude, I can't believe you just said it, but it's him.
I cannot. I'm not even trying. His first name is Albert. That's what we're gonna call him.
Albert Okwuig Bunam.
Yeah, I'm sorry. 8.3 points and 0. How? Tell me this. He had 2 targets. He only had 2 targets against Houston. And this was supposed to be the week that Russell Wilson got better. He only had 2 targets against Houston for 0 points. So, I mean,
sorry, my cat's having a heart attack in the background.
Again, 0 receptions, 2 targets, 0 yards, 0 touchdowns. I think he goes under 5. So, again,
I can see him not getting any points again.
especially,
honestly.
gosh, that's hard to do. Especially just with Russell Wilson, man. Russell Wilson is my bust. I don't think Russell Wilson is doing as good as he should. That's what I've got. So you got one more person, and then we are done with the episode.
I got somebody who sucked week 1 and popped off week 2, so I'm thinking people are going to be like, oh, he's back. And I'm taking Mike Gesicki at the Bills. So I don't see
like him a lot.
Dude, I like him a lot too. I thought he was really good. But who's Tua throwing to? Tua's throwing to Jalen Waddle. Dude, he threw 6 touchdowns, and Mike Gesicki got 14 points.
I'm going to play devil's advocate. Now after a defense sees, hey, Jalen Waddle and Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, we got to stop them. Do you not think it's going to leave the tight end position open a little bit more?
I don't think. I don't think you
Immediately
can stop
said
him.
no.
Yeah. The problem is it's one thing when you have like a top tier wide receiver,
Yeah.
right? Then you double cover him, and then the other guy always gets open. You saw it with Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah.
But it's another thing when you have 2 elite number 1 wide receivers. Like, we don't see that in the NFL. Like, really, think of that. Like, maybe Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, who else?
I mean, honestly, but
at one point, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen.
I know you gave. Last year though, Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb could have both been number 1 receivers. They both were close.
Right,
to
but the
1,000
reason
yards.
CeeDee Lamb was the way he was because Amari Cooper was clamped up.
All right, dude.
Like, I think Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are. Dude, they're elite. Like, they're good receivers.
They're both fast.
And
They're super fast.
I think Mike Gesicki is not bad. I just don't think that he's getting the looks that he used to because Tua has weapons he didn't have before.
And also, too, maybe he's not going to get as much because maybe the Dolphins are going to use him as a blocking tight end this week to give Tua more time to get the ball to his 2 big playmakers. Dude,
yeah,
I like that. Again, I'm going to go through our bust one more time. I've got quarterback Russell Wilson, running back Chase Edmonds, wide receiver Adam Thielen, and the tight end for the Broncos. What were yours?
I have Carson Wentz, Christian McCaffrey, Terry McLaurin, and Mike Gesicki.
I think we're going 16 for 16.
I sure hope so.
We're gonna get
famous last words right there, Chris.
So next week, when you guys listen to this, we're gonna be 16 and 16. I'm just
we're
saying
gonna replay
right now.
Chris going. I think we go 16 for 16. That's literally
this is gonna
every
be a
single
reel
one of our
that
picks
B-Man
is wrong.
makes. So again,
Yeah.
we hope you guys enjoyed the episode. Thank you for tuning into this week's podcast. Make sure you check us out on our social media pages: Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. We got reels. We got our podcast posted on YouTube as well. And then you can also listen on all major streaming platforms for free. That includes Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, and Stitcher. So thanks again for listening to this episode, and we look forward to the next one.